I'm gonna give someone fuel for a fan edit of me. Little did she know I'm a nasty. Oh. Ew, ew, ew. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Clay Early. And if you've never been here before, then we do like fun art, craft stuff on this channel. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it, dude. Give me some, bro. This is part of the 3 or whatever part series for my Renaissance Fair costume. Last episode was about the foam bracers that I made. This episode is about the foam sword that I made. Dude, foam. It's sick. Dude, I'm so stoked on how this turned out. The blade isn't the prettiest, and we'll get into why later, but I think it looks like a battle damaged sword. I think it looks pretty sick. Dude, this handle is so cool. Turned out a lot better than I thought it would, honestly. I don't want to jibber jabber too much, so let's just jump right into it. It's such a weird feeling rolling right out of bed and then doing one of these because I feel like I'm in a fever dream. So the file I used for the sword, I'm going to be completely honest, I feel really bad about this. I forget who or where I got the sword from. I downloaded this a while ago, so I'm sorry that I don't remember the artist's name. But it's a good file. I really liked it. I brought it into Mesh Mixer. I divided it up, so I took the blade off because I knew that I was going to be making a foam blade, and then I divided the hilt from the handle from the pommel. And then I took measurements of a wooden dowel rod that I was using and made the wooden dowel rod in Mesh Mixer, and then booleaned the difference through the handle. I think I describe a little bit about what boolean is in my Percy Jackson Riptide video. If you want to check that out. I'm pretty proud of how that one came out. But yeah, once I got everything cut and to size and everything, I brought the files over to Cura. I think I printed at like 20% infill. It took a couple days just to get everything. I did a quick test fit on the dowel rod and everything fit absolutely perfectly. Was very stoked on that. You can see the pieces were pretty rough. I didn't print with supports. I don't know why, I just didn't. A couple of the edges were pretty rough. The handle was pretty much fine, but the hilt and the pommel were like a little bit rough. So I just took an X-Acto knife and I scraped off that extra material that was hanging down on the hilt and cleaned up the pommel piece a little bit with the X-Acto knife too. And then just took my sander to it, really try to smooth it out as much as possible. Then I took a lot of Bondo filler, covered the entire hilt. I covered a little bit of the handle, not a lot, because I'm gonna be leather wrapping the handle later, so I wasn't too worried about it. And then covered the pommel. And then I used some JB plastic welding. Oh wow, you can't really see what I'm doing, huh? This is just basically, it's a 2-part thing that you mix together. And I think this was the quick set one, so it set within like 15 minutes. But, you know, just mix it together, take a dollop of it, put it on the pieces, stick them all together. It's not that hard. I did kind of hold it there for 15 minutes till it set, but it's not that hard. Here I'm measuring out the blades. So I only had a long roll of 2mm foam. This is kind of why the blade looks a little rough. If you're doing this, I suggest you get at least 4mm, maybe 5mm. Because as you see here, I'm cutting out like 6 of them. I think they were 2 inches by 30 inches. I only ended up using 4 because 6 was just gonna be too much for me. Can you hear my dog drinking? Yeah, I'm making fun of you. Go sit down. Everyone hold for Princess. Good Lord. I only ended up using 4 of them, which would equal 8 millimeters. Just don't use 2 millimeter because it's too thin and you have to cut out more of it. And then when you're sanding it, it doesn't come out as smooth as it would if it was 4 or 5 millimeter. Does that make sense? God, I hope that makes sense. But here I am cutting out the strips of foam for the blade. I'm using the rubber cement and I'm attaching the foam to the dowel rod. And I'm cutting this little swoop out of the blade as well. Very quickly, I'm using rubber cement. You put rubber cement on the piece, on one piece, and then the piece that you want to attach to it, you also put a little bit of rubber cement. You wait till it gets tacky. I use my heat gun, and then you stick it together, and it's very smooth, very strong contact. If you used like hot glue, it can melt the foam, or you would see like the texture of the hot glue through the foam. So use rubber cement. This took me a long time because the rubber cement brush was very small, and having to cover this whole thing, it just took forever. And then I ended up running out of rubber cement toward the end there. Yeah, there we go. We have the blade. So then I just take it outside and I'm smoothing the Bondo off the handle, trying to make it real smooth. And then I'm smoothing the sides of the blade, and I also put a bit of a bevel on the blade. I do that with my Dremel and using a sanding bit. You want to be very careful because if you go too hard with it, it can just rip up the foam. And then if you're not paying attention, like you can just get weird little scratches and dings, which I wasn't too worried about because, like I said, I knew this was gonna be like battle damaged. Another reason why you don't want to layer the foam like I did is because when you're sanding the bevel into it, you can still see the layers of foam, and it just kind of takes away from it a little bit. I think so. That's only if you're looking really closely at it. If you see it at a Faire, it looks fine. What I did to kind of, and I didn't show it of course, but what I did to try to kind of help make sure it didn't come apart, was I just took my hot glue gun and very little bits of hot glue, just kind of fill it in a little bit, and then use my hot glue gun to kind of like smooth it a little bit. It kind of helped. Yeah, I'm not afraid that it's gonna come apart anymore at the seams, you know what I mean? And then I just kind of put some hot glue around the hilt and the blade here to attach the two. Which honestly kind of looks sick. It looks like kind of like welding, sort of, I don't know. Yeah, because Knight's welded. And then I give it a good spraying of Plastidip. I kind of explained this in the last video, but foam is very porous, so when you try to spray paint it, it'll kind of just absorb the paint, or the paint could eat away at the foam. So just putting a nice coat of Plastidip, which is like a rubberized coating, it helps seal in the pores, and then it helps the paint adhere better to the foam. And then on the handle, I do a sandable primer, just to try to fill in the last little bit of layer lines that you can see and getting it ready to be painted. I do silver spray paint on the blade, on the hilt, and on the pommel, and then on the handle I do kind of like a brassy, sort of goldy color, and you will see why in a second. I also did a spray of clear gloss after I was done painting. I didn't show it, but I did a spray of a clear gloss. Just thought you should know. So here I am distressing and aging. I just use black acrylic. Same thing as I always do. If you know me, or if you know anything about weathering, you just put on a good amount of black acrylic, and then you wipe most of it off, leaving a lot of it in the crevices and in the creases, and it just adds, you know, a weathered, aged look to it, and it really makes the details pop and stuff. So I wanted to do like a leather wrap on this handle, and I'm using one of the fake leather swatches that I got for the Riptide video. Again, check that one out because it's really cool. I just got like a pack of these on Amazon that's kind of like a florally texture fake leather. I knew that I wanted to do that on the hilt or on the handle. So here I am measuring it out with my calipers. I'm just measuring out the distance between the rings on the handle and then transferring those measurements onto the faux leather, cutting out the strips and literally just super gluing them onto the handle. So super glue, leave the gap, super glue, leave the gap, super glue, leave the gap. And then it has this cool, like, you can see the rings and then the texture of the actual leather itself, which I think is really cool. So it has like a cool floral pattern. And then here around the pommel, I just kind of cut around this design. It adds like a really cool element to it. And then that is it. Dudes and dudettes and whatever else you are, there you have my foam Faire sword. This is my first ever like foam sword that I made, and I'm really stoked on it, honestly. I feel like I can really smack this thing around and not take too much damage. It's nice and light, so I don't think it'll weigh me down during the Faire. But it feels really sick in the hands because of this handle. Officially sword number 2 that I have in my house, which is really sick. Oh, I think there is something else I needed to show you guys, and it's, oh yeah, here you go. It's a B-roll. Sick, huh? I think that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the video, make sure you like the video. If you like me, even subscribe, dude, because you can see a whole lot more of me. Keep an eye out. I feel like I shouldn't be waving this in front of my face like while I'm filming. Keep an eye out for the other Faire videos I got coming up. I think I got 2 more coming or something. I don't know. And check out my last video about how to make my arm bracers that I'm gonna be wearing. I think my next video will be my chest armor, which I haven't even came close to starting yet. But yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. Ah!
Baby, you give me ice and fire.